Today, we're diving into Nadia Hashimi's absolutely gripping novel, A House Without Windows. It's a really powerful story about justice, sisterhood, and what it means to be resilient in modern Afghanistan. So yeah, let's jump right in.
We're going to start with this chilling couplet from our main character Ziba. This one verse just hangs over the entire story. You know, it's like a puzzle box of guilt, defiance, and tragedy, and we are going to unpack it together.
All right, so let's get the basics down. The book is A House Without Windows, written by Nadia Hashimi and published back in 2016. It falls squarely into literary fiction and social drama. Honestly, it's a perfect read if you're someone who appreciates deep, character-driven stories that aren't afraid to tackle some major social justice themes.
Okay, so this story wastes absolutely no time. It throws us right into the fire from the very first page, kicking things off with a really shocking and brutal crime. I mean, just picture this. You're in a quiet village, and Ziba, a woman everyone knows for her gentle nature, is just found, standing next to her husband's body. And the murder weapon, a hatchet, is right there. No other suspects in sight. It's this stark, horrifying image that just immediately makes you ask, what in the world could have happened here?
And this is where the real mystery begins. Because see, the book goes to great lengths to show us that Ziba is a loving wife, a patient mom, a peaceful person who never wanted to draw any attention to herself. So how does that woman end up at the center of such a violent crime? That question is really what propels the whole story forward.
But here's the thing. This story is about so much more than just one crime. It's about the invisible prisons, the ones that can find women long before they ever see the inside of an actual cell.
This quote right here, it's absolutely crucial to understanding everything. Ziba just refuses to talk. She won't defend herself. And in her world, that silence is automatically seen as guilt. But, as the quote explains, even if she did speak up, it might not save her. It could just as easily trap her even more. It's a completely impossible choice.
What it comes down to is that the system is basically designed as a lose-lose scenario. It doesn't matter if a woman speaks up or stays quiet, her actions are twisted and used as evidence against her. The justice system isn't just failing these women, you could argue it's actively designed to make sure they're convicted.
So this leads us to the novel's most profound and, honestly, unexpected twist. Just when you think Ziba's fate is totally sealed, the story takes this turn that completely flips the meaning of imprisonment on its head. Ziba gets sent to a women's prison called Chil Makhtab, but instead of it being this place of punishment and loneliness, it becomes something else, a sanctuary. Here, surrounded by other women who've been failed by the world, Ziba finally finds a space where their shared trauma isn't something to be ashamed of. It's the very thing that helps them connect and start to heal. Inside these walls, this incredibly powerful community starts to form. The women don't judge each other for the crimes that landed them there because they all understand. They know their real crimes were often just acts of survival in a world built for men. And the bond they form from these shared struggles, it becomes stronger than any prison bars.
You can just feel this defiant spirit, and it's captured perfectly in this sharp, witty couplet from Latifa, who is Ziba's cellmate. Man, it just cuts right to the heart of the hypocrisy they all face. It's this moment of total clarity and rebellion, and it shows these women starting to reclaim their voices and their power.
And all of this brings us to the core message of the book, a lesson that I think extends far, far beyond the walls of Chil Makhtab prison.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? The novel is really arguing that the ultimate weapon against injustice isn't some big legal battle or one person fighting for survival. No, it's the simple, almost radical act of creating a community of genuine, judgment-free support. It's about finding your own sisterhood, whatever that looks like.
And the book even gives us a sort of blueprint for how to build this in our own lives. First, practice vulnerable connection. That just means sharing what you're going through without looking for someone to fix it, just for someone to listen. And second, create a sisterhood ritual. You know, a regular check-in with your support system where the main goal is just listening and being there for each other.
Okay, with all of that in mind, let's get to our final verdict. How does A House Without Windows really hold up, not just as a story, but as a vehicle for these big, powerful ideas? So, the book's biggest strength, for sure, is how it masterfully transforms the prison into a sanctuary. The cultural insight feels so authentic, the characters are incredibly compelling, and it puts a huge emphasis on women's agency.
Now, on the other hand, some critics felt that the mystical elements tied to Ziba's family were a little underdeveloped, and the legal resolution at the very end, well, it can feel a bit too neat, a little convenient. The pacing is also very deliberate, which might be a challenge for some readers.
So, after weighing all of that, what's our final score for this powerful and definitely thought-provoking novel?
We're giving A House Without Windows a final grade of 8.1 out of 10. It's a really compelling and important read, for sure.
Let's break that down a bit. It scores really high on content quality and impact potential because of its deep dive into oppression and resilience. Practical application is also strong. It offers some really clear insights on building support networks. We did give it a slightly lower score for writing clarity, and that's mainly because of that deliberate pacing and those underdeveloped mystical elements we mentioned, which might make it a tougher read for some.
And hey, if you're interested in exploring similar themes and you're wondering what to read next, we highly recommend Nadia Hashimi's other bestseller, The Pearl That Broke Its Shell, and of course, Khaled Hosseini's landmark novel, The Kite Runner.
If you found this breakdown useful, we'd really appreciate it if you'd follow, share, and subscribe so you don't miss our next one. Thanks so much for tuning in.